Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Market Snapshot. My name is Norbert Kiza, and I'm happy to be with you all today. So, for today, we have, of course, Nvidia earnings, and we also have some good moves that we've been seeing on the markets and possibly some good opportunities for us to trade. Maybe before we begin, today is the 28th of August 2024, and we are going to be going through the markets for the potential trading opportunities. To start it off, we can just have a look at the pricing for the markets on the different assets. Looking at cryptos are looking relatively bearish. Bitcoin is actually trading below 60,000. It was just about 64,000 just last week, and now it's trading at around 58,000. The stocks are looking mostly bullish. We had a sharp move higher on Nvidia yesterday ahead of its earnings today after the bell, and we'll be waiting to see what opportunities are present there for traders. On the indices, we are seeing a number of them trading quite high. And Dow Jones, especially, is trading at a record high at around 41,300. And I think it's likely that we're going to see more of those coming in as you go ahead. Looking at least at the other indices, they're also trading higher. The Nikkei is trading at around 38,400. It's almost close to recovering its entire sell-off that it had after the Bank of Japan acted by hiking rates for the first time in I think 2 decades. DAX is extremely bullish, is trading right now closer to 18,800, is on such a sharp move to the upside, and I think this is likely to should likely see bigger moves there. Now, of course, today we have Nvidia earnings, and we're going to do a deep dive into Nvidia and what you can expect from Nvidia today. Of course, the last time we got Nvidia earnings, we saw sharp moves on the markets. We saw Dow Jones. If you guys recall, around April, Dow Jones sharply bought after those earnings, and it had a new high for close to the new high for the year. And same thing also for Nasdaq, which also rallied sharply higher, went up about 600 points post earnings. Looking at the calendar for today, before we go into Nvidia, we don't really have that much on a calendar. Again, maybe the major thing to look out for today is the crude oil inventories, which of course are going to be released sometime later today at about 5 p.m. But aside from that, we don't really have that much. Tomorrow, of course, tomorrow you're going to be with Rufus, and he will be taking you through the expected moves from the GDP, which of course I would say is one of the key economic events that we have this week. Now, before I start off on Nvidia, I just want to quickly look at the DXY. The DXY is a very, very important chart because it allows us to be able to gauge the strength for the dollar. For most of you that are trading gold, if you're trading gold, if you're trading Euro USD, if you're trading GBP USD, how the DXY moves is very, very important because it has an impact on what you're trading. Now, just to go briefly into history to see how the DXY has been moving, we had a double top, okay, that was formed, that was on the 30th of April, between 30th of April and the 26th of April. We saw a double top that was formed around there, and soon after we had the double top formed, we saw a move to the downside. We saw a break of that neckline, and after breaking that neckline, we saw that the market continued lower. So DXY has been in a technical downtrend, and looking at the current positioning for institutions and retail, most of them are net short on the DXY, on the dollar rather, and of course all that is because of the expected rate cuts. Now, how I've drawn this line is I've drawn it in such a way that this is where I'm expecting us to move in terms of the Elliott wave. So at the moment, the DXY seems to be holding around this key level of support, which of course is the main, what you've seen in the headline there, where we have indicated that USD index vulnerable at key support. So for those of you that may not be aware, on the 4-hour time frame, DXY is trading at a support level that it was at on the 28th of December, where we saw it launching a rally that took it all the way up here. That was from December. So we are now back to this area here, and I'm waiting to see over the next few days, especially tomorrow since we have GDP, how is the dollar going to react within here? Are we going to make a sharp recovery that could possibly take us here? And of course, are we likely to be back here during NFP, which is next week on Friday? And if not, uh, and of course, if we fail this support, it's very likely that the DXY is going to get weaker. But then on the other hand, for those of you that are trading Euro USD and GBP USD, are there signs of exhaustion for the buyers? GBP USD and Euro USD have been on on such sharp uptrends since, I would say, the start of August. The entire month has been sharp uptrend for them, and soon maybe we should see a bit of a relief rally that could also allow the DXY to recover, possibly to this level. Now, let's cross over to Nvidia. So Nvidia is a heavyweight, tech heavyweight, and it's going to be reporting its earnings today. Nvidia is expected to have an 11% bump on revenue. The current forecast for revenue is 28.6 billion. And of course, analysts are also expecting that we see third quarter revenue guidance upwards of 30 to 34 billion dollars. Of course, all this is going to depend on the on all this is going to depend on the earnings call and what we hear the CEO Jen Seng Huang mentioning during the Q2 earnings call. Now, important for traders is to have a look at how the Nvidia stock has done every single time we have had the earnings. So to look back at the previous quarters, Q3 last year, the one-day change for the stock was a 1.4% change. That was post earnings, and of course, the 1 week change for Nvidia was a 3.8% change on the price, and of course, the 2 week change was about 7.7%. Now, the expected going to today's earnings, which is Q2 for the financial year 2024, we're expecting that the one-day change for Nvidia is going to be a 4% increase. So if you get 4% of the current Nvidia price, you're looking at a gain of around that's a gain of about $5 added. So $5 added to the current price would put Nvidia trading at around 133. Yesterday, Nvidia's price closed sharply higher, and of course, all that was because we saw an inflow of calls in the options market. And after looking at the number of calls I saw for Nvidia, we shall go through this on the MT5. A lot of people are having their strike prices upwards of 133, 135. And of course, this looking at this graph, you can clearly see that every single time Nvidia reports earnings, there tends to be a great reaction on the market. Now, for those of you that are trading the Nasdaq, the reaction on a bump for Nvidia's share price, especially during the after hours, usually has, of course, an impact also on a Nasdaq. Previously, we have seen that whenever Nvidia has released earnings, we have tend to see a good reaction for the Nasdaq, possibly to the upside. And of course, today I'm expecting that the Nasdaq could possibly rally on strong earnings moving higher. Now, going back to this article, rather going here, we have a number of new products that Nvidia released. The last time they reported earnings, we saw that they announced a new set of GPUs for gaming. This is the GeForce RTX 4060 family, and they were starting at $299. Some of these products are likely going to be key contributors to Nvidia's bottom line when they report earnings today. The other important thing, of course, is going to be the recent announcement for the announcement for their Blackwell. The Blackwell, let me just pull it for you. I don't know where it is. Let me just get it for you. So Nvidia, uh, they also released this Blackwell platform. So the Blackwell platform is something they released in March, and of course, this sets the precedent for for a lot of the products that they are going to be doing. This Blackwell GPU architecture features 6 transformative technologies for accelerated computing, which will help unlock breakthroughs in data processing, generic simulation, electronic design. Now, aside from that, recently Nvidia also created an AI workflows for developers, and all these are going to be key things that could possibly spur investor sentiment and possibly push Nvidia's price higher. Now, the key thing for today is going to be Nvidia's revenue, which is currently expected to come in above that 28.6 billion. The other thing of course is going to be Nvidia's gross margin. What has been one of the things that has been also causing the downgrades for Nvidia from Wall Street has been the high cost for operation. Excessive spending, especially on AI infrastructure, has been one of the things that could possibly come in as an impediment to higher prices. But aside, or in addition, or more important than that, is how the revenue performs. If we have big bumps on revenue, if we see a big bump of revenue for Nvidia, possibly above towards 29-30 billion, then that's definitely going to send its stock price rallying, and we should see a move to the upside there. Okay, let's cross over to the MT5 for us to look at the setups that we have for today. So on the MT5, I'm going to begin with Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, we are still again, guys, in this Davos box, the 8-month Davos box. It hasn't moved out of this box here. We've seen how the price has been steadily breaking below that 58,000 level and moving back up and moving back above it. Currently, Bitcoin is trading closer to that bottom level around 58,000. Bitcoin is still struggling to have catalysts for it to move higher. We had thought that the ETF inflows, the ETF announcements would actually spur a lot of increase on intake on buying Bitcoin and all these things that would contribute to the price. But now we are not seeing that really pushing its price higher, so it's still stuck there. And I think Bitcoin is going to stay here for some time until we get a nice breakout above 70,000. Now going over to the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is currently trading at a record high. It's back to where it was in July, and we are seeing that this where it's at right now, it could possibly move to the upside. We could likely see a break towards 42,000. Of course, strong Nvidia earnings is going to be good for sentiment today. And if we see strong Nvidia earnings released today after the bell for the US, we should see a push for the Dow Jones upwards to 41,000, 41,600 there. Take note also that Dow Jones has a golden cross, and the distance between its 50 and 200 day averages is only expanding, indicating that the trend is still strong and it could possibly continue higher. Now, crossing over to the Dow Jones, rather NASDAQ. NASDAQ has a very, very nice setup. This is a falling wedge, and I'm expecting that we're going to have a break of this falling wedge to the upside towards those areas of 20,000. So this setup today has also the reason also why I've also what has given me confidence for this particular setup is that we also have a golden cross for the Nasdaq on the 4-hour time frame. The golden crosses are usually very, very good signs, or they're usually the good indicators that you should use for sentiment and trends. And what this means is that we could possibly see Nasdaq trading towards 20,000, all on those earnings for Nvidia. Now, crossing over to gold. Gold is currently having a bit of choppiness. The best way to approach gold trading, especially now with the price action it's doing, is for you to use sell limits. It would be wise for you to have your sell limits for gold above 25,000, 2,520, so that in case it moves higher, just like it did yesterday, you'd have been able to grab a sell from there and hold it back down to 2,507. So I'm still bullish on gold, especially since there are a lot of things that are currently pushing gold higher, like the weaker dollar. And until we see a recovery for the DXY, I think gold is still going to benefit with further upside, and we could possibly see it if it breaks this deadlock around 2,520. Gold could possibly push to 25,035. Now, crossing over to GBP/USD. GBP/USD again is in some bit of a strong rising trend. However, right now it seems to have paused along these levels here. I'm waiting to see just how we do around here for me to get a potential next move for it. However, at the moment, if this continues, if we see GBP/USD staying within this range, the next level for it is possibly going to be upwards of 1.33, and we need to wait especially for the DXY. Remember, I've told you that DXY is at a key support level around December 2023, and how GBP/USD does is majorly going to depend on the DXY. If we get a break below the December low, then we should see GBP/USD moving possibly towards those levels up there. Now, Euro USD again, Euro USD has a nice setup here today, which of course would be a setup for a buy. The best way to approach Euro USD, especially if you're short trading it, you need to approach it in a way that you're looking for trades during the London session. Rather, Euro USD is not trading well in the US session. It's quite choppy. At the moment, we have a lower high that has been created, and we should see a potential retest there before we have a move back to this level here, where we were on the 21st of August. So, finishing up with Nvidia, most of you might not be aware about this, but you can actually trade Nvidia on FX Pesa's platform. Nvidia is available for you to trade between the hours of 4:30 p.m. when the US market opens and the close for the US market, that's around 11 p.m. So as you can see, Nvidia is in a very, very nice uptrend since this low that we had around $90. I'm expecting that after today's earnings, Nvidia is going to be trading upwards of 130 towards those levels of 150. Now, currently where Nvidia is trading at, that would be a gain of about 19%, a bit on a high end. The highest percentage change we have had for Nvidia post earnings has been, let me just check here. It has been about, we have had 24%. That was in April. We had a gain of 24%. Okay. So it's possible. It's possible for Nvidia to actually trade towards 140, 150 today. And this could possibly, see Nvidia making new highs, okay, especially above this level that we were around 12th of June. Okay. Nvidia is still trading below that level where we were on 12th of June. So if we actually rally today, that could allow us to see much further upside for Nvidia towards those levels up there. So thank you, everyone. Question time now. If you have any questions for me regarding the today's snapshot, kindly drop them so that I can go over them. Someone is asking, what time should we expect Nvidia news? Okay, so Nvidia news is going to be released after the bell. The US session closes at 11 p.m. So usually they report earnings after the earnings, after the close of the bell. So anywhere between 11 p.m. to midnight, we are going to be getting the release of the earnings. So soon after the earnings are released like this, we're going to see very, very big moves, guys, especially on the Nasdaq. Keep focus on the Nasdaq. If you're going to be awake at that time, keep an eye on the Nasdaq. We are likely to see some good moves there for the Nasdaq. Usually, when Nvidia reports earnings, the Nasdaq normally is volatile. We normally see very big moves on it. Then, of course, the other thing would be to also keep an eye on the Dow Jones. If we just go back to the earnings we got for Nvidia, that was around the 23rd of April. This is the rally we had for Nvidia. So you see how Nasdaq rallied. So it picked up from here, went all the way this way. That was in one day. Okay, and then the days that followed after that, the Nasdaq launched a rally of about 11% because of the size of Nvidia. Nvidia is a 3.14 trillion dollar company, and it has a very big weighting on it has a very big weighting on the price. What can we expect for USDJPY? USDJPY is in a technical downtrend, and that's of course going to continue. I think I shared that sometime last week. I don't want to repeat myself on something that I've already shared. I shared that already last week. We've been selling on USDJPY, and I think that is going to continue. So just continue to keep an eye on that. This is the USDJPY chart we went over. Can just share that with you. We shared it. That was sometime last week. Still looking bullish. Wait for it to load. Okay, so this is it right here. So that's USDJPY. So we are still in a downtrend. We had a bearish flag, and yeah, we're still looking lower. Yeah. Next question. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining me for today's session. Today we have a Twitter space. Today we are going to be talking about the trading myths around trading currencies. I'm going to be joined by one of our top commercial lawyers here in Kampala. He's called Louis Namwanja. Focuses on the financial markets. So guys, please make sure that you do not miss out on that. We're also going to have Rufus joining us from Kenya, Robert as well, Prudence, and then of course myself. So please, guys, spare time so that you do not miss out on that one on Twitter at 5 p.m. Cheers, guys, and see you then.